Hey, I'm Rick Salmon. I'm at the New Croton Dam in Croton-on-Hudson, New York. This is only about 1 hour from New York City and about 5 minutes from my house. This is an awesome place to shoot. I bring my Croton Creative Workshop students here to make pictures, and I come here quite often to make pictures. And this is a good self-assignment. Go back to the same place again and again and look for different composition techniques. Try different exposure settings. Play with plugins. Plugins can help you and me awaken the artist within. So making pictures is a lot of fun. So speaking of making, before I came here, I made a little keynote slideshow just for you on my favorite photo philosophies and my favorite philosophies. And I did this for two reasons. One, so you could get to know a little more about me, but two, I made the show as a reminder that photography goes way beyond technique. So check out the show. After the show, I'm going to take you to the top of the dam. I'll show you the view from up there. Okay, let's talk about my favorite photo philosophies and my favorite philosophies. I'd like to start out with luck. People tell me all the time, Rick, man oh man, you're so lucky. You've been to Mongolia to photograph the Genghis Khan revival. You've traveled to the bottom of the world to photograph the beautiful blue ice. And you've traveled to the top of the world to photograph the polar bears. You've been to exotic locations like Papua New Guinea to photograph the different cultures. You've documented the Great Migration in Africa. You've documented the blast-off in Bosque del Apache, New Mexico. You've been to Cuba, where it's like being on a movie set with the old cars and the old buildings in the background. Rick, you're so lucky. Well, every time someone says to me, Rick, you're so lucky, I say this. I say the harder I work, the luckier I become. I work very, very hard at everything I do. And my friends, you work hard. The harder you work, the luckier you'll become. Look at the Arcanum Inception Masters. These people work very hard. It may not look like that, and here's why. The sign of a true professional is making a hard job look easy. So remember, please remember, the harder you work, the luckier you'll become. And when you're working hard, you have to set your goals high. I say shoot for the stars. If you shoot for the stars and you hit the moon, you're still doing okay, right? Set those goals high. Picture on the left, by the way, was taken at the Very Large Array in New Mexico. The picture on the right was taken in Botswana. A little more about setting goals. I'm at that Mongolia festival, and this is a shot I wanted to get. I set the goal to get this shot. So what did I have to do? I had to set my camera on AI servo focus, so the subject was always in focus. I had to shoot at rapid frame advance, so I got the shot with all the hooves off the ground. I had to preset my exposure, cut down on the number of variables, shooting in one area of the field. I had to shoot at 1,000th of a second shutter speed to freeze the action. I had to compose wide, so no parts of the subjects were cut off. Had to shoot with both eyes open, so I could see what might come into the frame to ruin the picture. And I had to practice. So I set the goals and I got the shot. So it's very, very important to set goals. Next thing I want to talk about, the 4 levels of learning. Most teachers know about this. It applies to all learning. Keep in mind, in photography, all pros were amateurs at one time or another. And another way to look at that, all masters were apprentices. Okay, number 1, the unconscious incompetence. We don't know we're not that good. We get a camera, we take a snapshot, we think, hey, pretty good. Our family or friends say, hey, pretty good. That's the first level. Second level is pretty cool, the conscious incompetence. We know we need help. We're not getting pictures that are great, but we know we need help. We want to learn. The Buddhists say learning is health. The more we learn, the healthier we are, and the better photographers that we become. So this is the second level. I'm sure some of you listening are at this level. I'm sure some of you are at this level, the conscious competence. We know we're good. This is a great level to be at, where you look through the viewfinder, you take the shot, you look at your camera, the screen on the back, hey, this is good, a good shot. You can see here, I knew I had the shot, my favorite shot from this sequence. I didn't have to take any more pictures. So the conscious competence is good, but this is the coolest level, the unconscious competence. It's the level we all want to reach in the things we care passionately about. We don't really have to think too much about what we're doing. We just do it. And how do we get to that 4th level? By practicing. Practice, practice, practice by looking at the work of others, by trying to emulate the work of others. This is the level that we all want to be at. Just want to go back to this part of that expression, the things we care passionately about. I'm passionate about my photography. When I go on location, I'll do almost anything to get a shot. This wasn't that dangerous. I've dived under the ice in Lake Baikal. That was a little dangerous. But anyway, I'll get up early to capture a beautiful sunrise like this. I'll stay out late to photograph a beautiful sunset like this. Both these pictures were taken in Myanmar. What I tell my workshop students, I can sleep when I'm dead, right? When you're on location, you want to maximize your time there. Staying healthy, I'm big on this. We have to stay healthy. This next series of pictures were taken in outside of Goblin Valley State Park in Utah. You can see it's basically all the same scene. You recognize some of the elements. I'm running around like crazy, setting up my tripod, fine-tuning my exposure, working on composition, trying to get these shots. If I wasn't healthy, I wouldn't be able to maximize my time there. We have to stay healthy as photographers. The healthier we are, the more we can run around. Next thing, making pictures. I tell people, and Ansel Adams used to tell the students this too, you don't just take pictures, you make pictures. There's a big difference between taking a picture and making a picture. This picture was taken in a place called Fairy Glen in North Conway, Wales. I mean, what a spectacular, magical scene. Thing is, when I got there, the light was kind of flat. It was coming in from the side, but it really wasn't great lighting. So I knew I needed HDR to make the image that I envisioned in my mind's eye. So I took a series of pictures, like 5 pictures, processed them. The HDR shots still looked kind of flat, and I thought the sunburst would look good. Well, as you saw before, I wound up cropping it out. So here's the straight out of the camera process HDR shot, which basically I use as my HDR negative. Then I went into Photoshop. I did some selective burning and dodging, increase the saturation, tone down the highlights, open up the shadows, darken the edges just a little bit. So I made the picture. So always remember, there's a big difference between taking a picture and making a picture. Just one more thing on making pictures. I like this picture. I made this picture, believe it or not, in a warehouse, in the Westcott warehouse in Toledo, Ohio. Here's a snapshot. No shadows, a boring angle. Everything about this picture except the model is kind of boring. So what did I have to do to make this shot? Well, a couple of things. Again, I set the goal. I changed the pose. I asked her to change her expression. I added some nice light. I got closer. The closer you are to the subject, the more intimate the picture becomes. I used the Dutch effect, tilting my camera down to the side. I used the duplex filter in Nik Color Effects Pro, and I gave the model some direction. So from this boring snapshot, I was able to make a more interesting picture. I have more philosophies, basically my Salmon Isms, on my website. Name of the game, fill the frame, dead center is deadly, whatever. This shot that I took in Africa, in Kenya, illustrates a lot of those Salmon Isms. The name of the game is to fill the frame. You can see every part of this frame, including the top with the clouds, is filled. The subject is not dead center. When you think you're close, get closer. I was pretty I tried to get as close as I could, so the tree filled the frame from left to right. The camera looks both ways, meaning that your pictures are a reflection of what you like. So you can see here, I like wildlife photography. I expose for the highlights. I used my camera like a spaceship. I got down at a low angle. I like the shadows here, the silhouette. Light illuminates, shadows define. This picture has nice definition because of that silhouette. And of course, I made the picture. Here's the picture that you're looking at. But basically, the first shot I took was a tree. Well, I wanted some giraffes, so I went out the next day and I got a picture of the giraffes and I made a composite. So remember, there's a big difference between taking a picture and making a picture. Well, I'll leave you with this. First day I dropped my son off at nursery school, I saw this sign on the wall. I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I understand. So this is true. You hear a lot of stuff, you forget it. You see, you remember. But when you do it, and by the way, this is that 4th level of learning. I do, I understand. That's pretty cool.
Well, as promised, I'm on the top of the New Croton Dam. As you can see, this is also an awesome place to shoot. Now listen, if you come here, don't forget your zoom lenses, don't forget your tripod, and don't forget your neutral density filter, because you are going to want to shoot at those slow shutter speeds to blur the water. Well, I'm Rick Salmon. I'll catch you later, and who knows, maybe I'll catch you up here.